We are supposed to have this conversation with Gabriel Muthuma and Ambrose Weda as well. We're still trying to figure out where Weda is. Muthuma, good evening. How are you?
Evening, Linda. How are you doing?
Good. So we're trying to figure out where Weda is. If we get him during this show, well and good. If we don't, we'll try and figure out something just to make sure we have a good conversation about what happened this past week. One of the major things that happened, President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party conceded defeat in 3 by-elections conducted on Tuesday. The party lost in Bonchari and Juja parliamentary seats, as well as Ri County Assembly seat in Nyandarua County. In a statement on Thursday, Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju said the party, quote, graciously concedes defeat. Muthuma, I mean, looking at Jubilee, this is a party that has been doing so well. This is a party that a good number of people never thought would get to where they are unable to get any particular seat. And I remember listening in to Murad, they were saying, look, everyone goes into a by-election to win. So it shouldn't surprise us if Jubilee doesn't get the seats that it wants. I mean, it was a battle. It was a by-election. You'd expect anyone to win. What comes to your mind on these by-elections and how Jubilee performed?
Well, Linda, good evening. There are 2 things. One is like what the SG of Jubilee said, you know, and I remember, I had him quote the Kiswahili saying, asiyependa kushindwa, siye mshindaji. But you see, more than that, you can understand the loss in Bonchari. That one I can understand. I cannot bring myself to understand how Jubilee lost their home court advantage. The win, even though they conceded in Juja, was quite painful. And that just shows, there were probably some plans that they never effected properly. Whether you're looking from what Lee, the governor of Nakuru, Lee Kinyanjui, said that he felt the nominations were not done properly. And probably that is where they are getting it wrong when they push a candidate who is not popular or favorable. And I think probably could that be what happened in Juja? Probably. Same thing happened in Nyandarua. I mean, these are seats that I expected Jubilee not to lose, because not only do they, make Jubilee appear as if they are coming up for air, but actually it's starting to send that message. Do they still have the knack to win these by-elections? So I think there's more to it than just conceding, which was a good and fair thing. Now, we cannot downplay what the other candidates did, because sometimes, you might just as well call it to the winner go the spoils. But I think it is going to hurt Jubilee, in the long run. Yes, it is a good thing, and we all should do it. When you want something so badly and you lose, it's not a bad thing when you say, you know what, this was not for me. We saw these 2 young men in Kibra when the late MP's brother won, and very quickly the other candidate for Jubilee went quickly to concede. But you see, Kibra was home court advantage, which was quite well protected. It was indeed, or so we are told, it was Baba's bedroom, so it was quite protected. And I thought Juja, they would have done the same. That is not to say that the other candidate did not put up a very spirited campaign. And so, with good strategy and the way you go out and talking to the people, that's how I believe they emerged to be the winner. But it still sends a statement to Jubilee that they need to up their ante.
You know what? I was being told these guys went door to door. They were speaking to each and every person. At some point, there was that conversation of, was it the deputy president who made a call and tried to convince people to vote for that particular candidate? But Muthuma, from where you sit, is it about the nomination process, or is President Uhuru Kenyatta reading the pulse of the region wrong?
Well, it could be several things, and key among them, I still go with what Lee Kinyanjui said, because this is something I've seen. Many people come out to say these nominations were not done properly. And Linda, let me tell you something in politics. When you put up candidates who more or less have some element of numbers in their area of representation, yes, you may find you have a very strong candidate, and if you do not do a proper nomination process, you may end up having this candidate decampaign your candidate. And this has happened, countrywide. You will find somebody, even though you've come up with a candidate and, you've not gone through, the core nomination process where people feel as if, the locals, the people who are going to vote, where they feel, this did not go or did not augur well. You have so many people who are left out who will start decampaigning. Now, they're not decampaigning primarily because they hate the president. No, they are decampaigning to send a statement. And, in Juja, I believe that statement was done. In Ruri, that statement was done. In Muturi, that statement was done. So I think this really, I'm putting it at the base of the party. They need to sit down and start asking the very hard questions. Kiamba is just coming up, and should they play around, that's it will go. So they need to sit down and strategize. Just tells you that the other candidate, the PEP candidate who won, when it came to resources, and this one is common knowledge. I don't believe he had more resources than what Jubilee had. So this came to strategy and how they went out to convince people that he was the right candidate. And guess what? Numbers worked for him. 10,000, 12,000 votes out of, the range. Where the other candidates were left with 5,000, that just tells you there was some serious work that went, into ensuring that the PEP candidate won. So as much, like I told you, Linda, as much as we would all agree that conceding is great and Jubilee did the honorable thing, it still sends a message close to home. This is an area where Jubilee should not have had or needed to lose.
And specifically in Juja, I mean, like you say, Bonchari was okay, Ruri was okay, but Juja, no, this is the backyard of the president. And I like what you're saying about the outcome of this by-election, because then that would also bring the question to someone who's focusing on UDA, because those who are saying these by-election results now emboldens UDA. If you're on social media, you'd have seen UDA supporters tweeting left, right, center, saying this is just the beginning. This is a reflection of 2022. So, of course, this is going to embolden UDA, isn't it?
Of course. Sometimes in politics, they say you give a mouse a cookie, tomorrow it will come for a glass of milk. UDA is coming now for the whole barrel of milk. And, you give them a chance. They'll take, you give them a kilometer, they'll take 10 kilometers. And, that's just politics. They are now running with the narrative that, we did this. Backyard of the head of state, we did this. And that's why I'm saying Jubilee must do some serious soul searching, to find out what they are doing wrong. Because if really you do not, and you see, Linda, when somebody fails, it's always nice to retract and start asking, where did you go wrong? If at one point Jubilee was the party of the future, this would have been a slam dunk for Jubilee. You saw, when before Jubilee just used to come and pick seats, mainly, sometimes not even within the areas where you think, this party is strong. Look, they got about some serious seats in 2017 in Western. So that just tells you there was a time Jubilee had the knack and the strategy. So they need to go back and really sit down and, start finding out where did the rain start beating us. See, Jubilee is still, that big coalition that, that got so many seats in parliament. So at one point, they may have done something that is not auguring well with people on the ground. And I think this is where they need to sit down and start finding out where did we go wrong.
Yeah, because Muthuma, is it Bahati, member of parliament, Gunjiri, who was saying, look, Mr. President, we love you. We are behind you. But there are certain things that have happened within the party that makes us very uncomfortable, that makes us unhappy. As a matter of fact, there has been a conversation on having a quote-unquote truce between the president and the deputy president, which was the local dailies. And they came up with a raft of demands that William Ruto allied leaders are asking for. Let me go through some of them. So they want Uhuru to call a meeting for all Jubilee elected leaders. And perhaps that will address the issues that you're talking about, Muthuma. They want the Keleweke wing to stop crackdown against DP. They want the head of state to call off troops that call themselves Stop Dr. Ruto Movement. They want the system to abandon any political project to decide 2022 fate. And they want the state or the president to call off politically instigated political investigations against Tangatanga loyalists. Some of the basic requirements that they're saying they are willing to consider a truce with President Uhuru Kenyatta?
Well, there's the issue. There's that raft of demand that you've just, read there, Linda. Question is, will the head of state, come through on those demands? Is this the right time to start making demands? And I think from where the president is seated in some of those things, not to say they are not important. Personally, many people even within Mount Kenya would tell you they would want to see the camaraderie, that was there before, 2017, come back. And they believe if that relationship that was there before, if it comes back, probably, things may be straightened. But probably the head of state is like, you know what, next year, I'm heading to retirement. So I think he would say there's work to be done. It's true, he's been traversing the entire country with all these projects going on. And, it's just self-evident, that only a blind man will say nothing is happening. So I think as much as those rafts make sense, and I believe honestly they can probably bring some temperatures down. Our question is that a priority now, or the way things are going, would UDA say, with seems to be having a lot of luck, probably these things can come after Kiambaa, because right now their sights are so trained on Kiambaa, and should they pull another wand like they've done in Juja, I don't even think they'll be willing to sit down with anybody at that particular point.
Muthuma, the point where you're saying that perhaps the president would not be interested in having this conversation because he has probably a year to go home. Jubilee VC David Muradhi, if I'm not wrong, was here on KTN News, and he said Uhuru Kenyatta is not going to go anywhere. He will remain the Jubilee leader. It's in his best interest to ensure that Jubilee is intact, even as he exits the seat of the presidency, isn't it?
Well, true. Probably Jubilee would want to retain the head of state as its leader. But, Linda, there's something I've told you once, and I'll repeat it again. The president has a serious task. The weight of 50 million Kenyans will definitely, for any leader, not just the president alone, for any leader who has actually been elected to that office, it creates something called leadership fatigue. And sometimes, you've done your best. The Constitution has given you 10 years to deliver, and probably you've done well. When it gets time, you are quite fatigued, and you sometimes don't want to see politics. Look at what Kibaki did. He just slipped out. And, he went to relax. I mean, it's a lot of, it requires a lot of energy. You are listening from, all voices, those that are criticizing you, those that are supporting you. People sometimes, those that were with you, and in the first run, no longer are there with you. Probably they don't even want to hear of you. So we need to be cognizant to this fact that leadership sometimes comes with the challenges that, one has accepted. And so when the time comes, I think that fatigue is real. And probably the head of state, he said it once, not actually once, he said it severally, that when he retires, he just wants to go his way. Yes, probably he'll still be a voice to be reckoned with politically, but that depends on how, what he will want to do. I don't think at one point somebody will want to twist his arm to say, you must remain our leader. No. I think, Jubilee should have the mechanisms of being a progressive party. And if that is to be realized, then they must have what you would call, a succession plan. So, let's allow and give space when the current head of state has finished his work.
Yeah.
Let him leave that seat with honor and grace. That's just it.
Which will bring me to the question of legacy, but stay with me. We now have Ambrose Weda, who's joining us from Kisumu. Weda, good evening. Good to see you. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Linda. How are you doing?
Good. We were getting worried. We couldn't get you, so we were starting to figure out what's going on. Are you okay?
Oh, we are okay. We are praying for Kisumu, and as the president is preparing to come here next week for Madaraka Day, there's a lot of enthusiasm, and we feel great.
Oh, so you guys are ready to welcome the president. Listen, Weda, just before you joined us, we're talking about the by-elections.
Some women groups.
Women groups, Weda.
Yeah?
What have women groups done?
Now we are preparing to welcome the president in a big way, in a Mbuta way.
What part are you playing? Weda, please. Anyway, welcome, Weda.
Weda, Muthuma is asking, what part are you playing?
First and foremost, I'm praying for his safe journey, praying for this place. Prayer is first.
Okay.
Then the others follow. You know God first.
Mm-hmm. Okay, listen.
Yes.
Weda, so we started this conversation is looking at the by-elections that happened this week on Tuesday. And of course, for those who looked at the results, it was, quote-unquote, a big loss for Jubilee. This is a party that garnered several votes in the last general election, and it did several by-elections after. But now there are those who seem to think that Jubilee is losing ground across the country. Is that a sentiment you share?
No, Jubilee is not losing ground. It is only that Jubilee is no longer serious. It has been split. The deputy president is running east. The president is at the center. Honorable Raila is pouring cold water on it. So Jubilee is in trouble. It is in a corner. That is why now it cannot perform well, because even in the Juja election, you could see the footprints of Jubilee. You didn't see the president going there. You didn't see the deputy president going there for Jubilee. It was my brother, Moses Kuria. So if Jubilee was to continue being handled the way it is, then it is headed for its deathbed. But if the troops are called back quickly, and Baba is put on the sidelines, kidogo, to allow Jubilee to rejuvenate. Jubilee is still a big force to reckon with, a big force. Having the presidency and the deputy presidency and the government is a big thing. But now we are divided. The deputy president is singing down there. The president himself does not want to see his deputy. He'd rather see Honorable Raila than see his deputy. We are in a mess. We need prayers in Jubilee. That is why. But it's not that it is dwindling. It's dwindling because we are killing it from within.
Are you indirectly saying that the only way that Jubilee can be rejuvenated, can be brought back to life, is if troops are called back? And by troops, you mean Deputy President William Ruto?
By troops, please, Jubilee was formed by President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, combining with the Deputy President and the like-minded people and soldiers like Weda here. It was one big movement. Several parties were collapsed into one, and then the movement, money was poured, resources, intellectual minds were put in place, and all this turned Jubilee into a force to reckon with that swept ODM like chicken feed. But now, the problem is these people are reading from different scripts. The president doesn't want to see the deputy. If you greet the deputy, they'll punch your teeth. If the deputy wants to see you going to the president, they'll punch your face. So these problems, a house divided cannot stand. That is where it's not. When we are talking about the troops, we are not talking about the deputy president. We are talking about President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, presidential candidate, now president, Deputy President William Samuel Arap Ruto, Arap Chicken Seller. All these people were big. They were too big for the likes of Jubilee, the likes of this. But now, some of these people have creeped into Jubilee, and they have succeeded in dividing us. So Jubilee is weak because of internal division caused by people who have come in, and also the president maybe is no longer concentrating in it. That's where the problem is.
Muthuma, internal divisions have crippled Jubilee. It can be revived. It's not over yet.
Well, that's true. You see, Linda, I keep saying, you see, and this an example I'm giving you. If your son or daughter were doing very well in school, and all of a sudden you realize, they are not up to, the kind of energy that they had, they are starting to fall behind. And that particular, new arrival will actually make it harder for them once they go to the upper classes. The first thing that you do is find out what has gone wrong. All right. Now, and it's the same thing when you're talking about what has happened in Jubilee. This was an amazing party of the future. Remember when Jubilee came out, they started looking at the blueprint of the ANC of South Africa. the Communist Party of China. You know, they wanted to know, how do you mold such a party to be the party of the future? And they had started very well. And that's what I'm saying. They need to go back to the original blueprint. What were we doing well, you know, to 2017 and thereafter? What are we doing now that's not working? Key among them is strategy. Weda has also brought another angle, that the infighting is too much. I've had two people actually being chastised, and that's the AG and the vice party chair, Murade. They've actually been chastised back to back, and people are saying you are actually the reason that this party is losing. And so this, many people would have understood really losing Bonchari, but the back end of the president, that actually had come, full cycle to sting Jubilee. That should not have happened. And that's why I'm saying, if they don't sit down quickly, if these divisions continue to persist, in the next few weeks coming to the Kiambaa by-election, it may not sit actually well for them again. Okay, so there are divisions within the Jubilee Party. A couple of leaders as well have spoken about this, and they're basically saying the people around the president have contributed to Jubilee being where it is. Whether this is where you come in, and because during the Juja by-election we saw a scenario play out, and that scenario involved the governor, Kiambu Governor James Nyoro. He was making all manner of accusations and shouting during that by-election, and people are saying, look, these are the people who discredit the president. This is a sitting governor and disrupting an entire tallying process. Could we listen in a little bit to what the Kiambu governor had to say during the Juja by-election tallying process?
Yeah, we have been very quiet. Sijui wapi betu, state letter, sijui wapi. Tumekota boxes of our kuras in Karimoni, in Gasororo, in Juja. Na nyinyi mnakaa hapa, mnahesabu tu. Every vote counts. Must come here. And we want every vote. Where are going to be counted, and we have to be told in India Litupa tunasetu kwa uwanja. Ndio tunakaa pale tunafikiria sisi ni wajinga. We are not. And we have made our point.
That was Kiambu Governor James Nyoro during the tallying process of the Juja by-election. If you're able, Weda, I'm hoping you're able to listen in. If you're not, then I played a clip of the Kiambu Governor James Nyoro disrupting the tallying process at Juja, basically saying their votes were being stolen and disrupted the whole process. Remember, it was postponed to the next day. I want to get your quick reaction on that move by the governor.
Linda, that was a sick joke, creating some substance that he would then use to give the president as an excuse for a poor job that was done in Juja. That was the reason. The embarrassment was covering the embarrassment. He wanted something when the president asks, they would be able to say, oh, these people stole, I think it was, they didn't do any good job. You didn't see them campaigning. They didn't pour in money. They were nowhere. They were under the table thinking that this is Mount Kenya and Mount Kenya will be this and that. Yet they also know that my friend and former college mate, Moses Kuria, had moved over and he can talk and he can move, and he was indeed moving. Linda, you should remember that as Jubilee we are under attack. The same way KANU was under attack. When Honorable Raila Odinga joined KANU, Moi never recovered. Now we joined us in Jubilee, we will not recover. I think the sooner we work out the divorce, the better between either the president and the deputy. But otherwise, we will be found outside. I don't know, River Yala or River Tana, whichever. This internal strife that has now caused internal weakness is as a result of inversion. And truth be said, I think here we love our president, and I love President Uhuru so much, but when the fortunes of Jubilee are dwindling, we would request that you take responsibility, turn around quickly, and we make it so that Kiambaa is not lost. Otherwise, it would be a huge embarrassment, and some of us want my president to have a good legacy, respect, honor, and when we remember him, we say hallelujah, we jump, and not where we say, oh, we started with the Jubilee, it went out. He started with his deputy, kicked him out. He had a BBI, maybe it had a problem. They also had alliance with Honorable Raila, it didn't work. Those are things we are praying should not be the legacy my good president is leaving. He has done a lot, and those a lot should not be washed down by just a few mistakes and here and there. Let him take charge of running the Jubilee again. Put in manpower, people who have talent, people who have intellect, and also resources, and then make amends with your deputy president so that we don't have occasions where a head of state from a neighboring country comes in. There are all other people except the deputy president. I am praying that on first, when we are having Madaraka Day, the deputy president will be there so that we don't look naked, we don't look greedy, we don't look selfish. I am still pleading. Now we can see the effect. It doesn't look good. We look naked and it's very bad.
You look naked and it's very bad, but then there's something you've said, and you said it twice in this show today, that you will never recover, and you alluded it to the fact that Raila Odinga is now quote-unquote part of the government. What role did Raila have in the loss in the by-elections? I mean, he wasn't running the Jubilee Party campaigns, the system, so why is he to blame?
Linda, he came in and with his effort, he incited the president against his deputy, and these people no longer see eye to eye, yet they are one force. You cut one from the other, and there's always a weakness on both sides. Now, that is a fact we have to accept. It is sadly so, and that's why I'm appealing to my president that let us make it a bit back kidogo, let us there's the prefix word reconnect, reconcile, resurrect, so that things move. I'm not saying they disagree and whatever, but I'm saying the handshake can go on alongside reconciliation, alongside unity, so that Jubilee is strong, ODM is strong, Honorable Raila is strong, Honorable Uhuru is strong, Honorable Ruto is strong, Musalia is strong. We are strong as a country, not segmented, divided, and looking weak. So the division in Jubilee has been caused by the rift between the president and the deputy president. They are now reading from different scripts. Now, there are many causes. One of them is the unity between the president and Honorable Raila Odinga. Same way, there was a unity between Honorable Moi and Honorable Raila Odinga, and Kanu is yet to recover. Sir Gideon is trying, Dr. but it is difficult.
Gabriel Muthuma, first of all, let me get your quick reaction on the actions of Kiambu Governor James Nyoro. And as you do that, Ambrose Weda is talking about the legacy that he would like his president to have, President Uhuru Kenyatta, even as he heads towards the sunset years of his leadership. Would you talk a little bit about his legacy? But first of all, let's begin with Kiambu Governor James Nyoro and the tallying process.
Well, truth to the fact, on this one, I'll agree with Weda 100%. Governor of Kiambu did a pathetic job. Let's just call it what it is. And you know, you cannot tell me when he's talking about tallying. Listen, I would love to believe, which is very true. I think he had resources to run the entire campaign. Don't tell me Jubilee does not have resources. It has resources. So it is him who did a bad job. Period. If you're telling me that, you know, your votes are, first of all, where are your agents? I would believe that you had more agents than PEP. All right. So I think you need to give credit where it's due. If these guys if PEP were well organized, you know, they had better strategies, they beat you hands down. Just accept, instead of now coming up with all what is trying. Our votes were, you know, at one point the counting was stopped, the police were involved, they were called in, IEBC had to chastise him through a letter. I think the truth of the matter, Governor Nyoro did a bad job, and that's just it. And you see, if he goes, or if they go with that mentality to Kiambaa, I think, again, you don't know what will happen, but you do not want another otherwise result in Kiamba. I think it will be, two thrashes, in the present backyard. It won't even look good. So I think they need, again, to strategize and see how they are going to save face on this one. But please don't take away, Linda, what I'm saying, to say that even though they were not organized, don't take away the fact that these other people are not well organized. They were well organized, and they championed their candidate pretty well. And, at the end of the day, they emerged winners. So as much as Jubilee is trying to bring in, some element of vibrancy and probably get a good candidate, it does not stop there. They also need to talk to the people and bring about a candidate who will be accepted across board. I go back to what Governor Lee Kenyanjui said, and he emphasized that we need to also look at how we do our nomination, at the primary level. We need to take a great look. Are we just bringing up people who are not popular? Is that something that they need to seriously look into? Many people are against this, what they are calling, you call in a few individuals, you interview them, they say that's not the will of the people. The will of the people is you go down and you involve people, to nominate the person that they want to push, towards the by-election. So I think these are some of the things that Jubilee must wade into this murky affair. And I think if they get it right, then I think they may do a good job in Kiamba. Failure to which, I think they may take another beating. Coming to the president's legacy, guys, let's be honest here. I think the president has done really well. And when I say he's done really well, I mean, it's self-evident. Just the other day, many people are complaining it's taking hours to leave the airport. You can take even 4 hours. And the thing is, it's massive. It's really massive development coming up. And I've had so many people talk about, our deficit in development. And this time round, we seem to be catching up. So this is something, at the end of the day, I've told people, the healthcare facilities are being done by NMS, almost 20-something hospitals, in Nairobi alone. Already they've employed about 600 nurses, which is something good. We get our healthcare right. We go back to the Big Four agenda. We get our food security. We get all those great things that started out to be the Big Four agenda. Tell you what, the president will leave a very great legacy. And I have to add on this one, Linda, when I told you that, these great agendas, when the Jubilee started them, they were not ending with the president, and we should not look at them as if they will end with the president leaving office. When he retires, any other leader coming in, whether it will be Jubilee or otherwise, any other leader coming in must see value in the Big Four agenda, because that's how you create a national identity. That is how you create a national agenda. And the Big Four agenda, really, which pumps up the legacy of the president, and I know he's added the legacy 3 projects. I think if they are well put into place and there is great advance toward making sure that these projects work, Linda, I can guarantee you without fear of contradiction, Kenya will be a different country. Even if, as we are talking about, COVID, notwithstanding how we've taken a hit, I still believe we are going to rise if we keep our focus on the Big Four agenda.
The reason why I asked you about that legacy, Weda, I hope you can hear me. The reason why I asked about that legacy is because there was a coronation of National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi that happened. And there's been a lot of contradicting feedback from leaders from Central Region, because he's now the spokesperson of the region. Could you listen in to some of the different opinions on the coronation of Justin Muturi? Could we listen to what leaders had to say?
Politician, we are looking for a person who will give us counsel, and a person from whom we will board counsel.
Who can we trust to deal with official corruption? And we can trust somebody who has never been corrupt, and that is Muturi.
Sisi hatuna chama ya siasa. Sisi hatuungi mkono mwanasiasa yeyote.
Lazima tuyafikirie sana maana ya umoja wa watu wetu,
kwa sababu hakuna eneo linakuanga na mzungumzaji mmoja. Sasa yeye akizungumza sisi sote tutakimya.
Kwa niaba ya Wakikuyu tumekataa huyo jamaa na hicho kikozi chake.
Great. So you have some leaders supporting the coronation, some are not. Weda, talk to me about the coronation of Justin Muturi. He's now the spokesperson of the Central Kenya region.
Linda, Justin Muturi, my friend, my big brother, my senior colleague, and a close friend, a friend of President Uhuru. I was taken aback. I actually also remembered it in prayers, and I put it on my Facebook page. The route to the presidency from the forest can be more complicated than the way of the cross. I looked at it and I was wondering what has gone into his head, because he was there during Moi's time. He saw that Moi did not come through the forest, through the Talai coronation, and he was into power. He remembers in 2013 when President Uhuru and the Deputy President were facing the Hague, and they were running for the presidency. It was through the laying of hands by men and women of God across the country, people praying for them and laying hands. They didn't come from the Mau forest or the Mount Kenya forest. So I really don't know who counseled my elder brother to start with such a divisive and very cavalier approach to modern leadership, where young people are doing Twitter and they are doing TikTok and they are doing this. So when you emerge from the forest, you look like the days of or Coyote and those things. It is sad, and I pray for him to sit down and reconcile his mind and come back. We want leadership of a person who will be tweeting around, who will be looking at his mobile phone and talk. We don't want someone who will be sniffing some substance, somebody who will be doing all those things and wearing Nyakunyua uniform and claiming or thinking that is Kikuyu or Central. We want a leader who will unite all of us, not a spokesperson for Luoland or Luyaland or Kalenjin land. We want a spokesperson for the people of Kenya, so that if we are to divide, we divide. Let's say somebody speaking for the youth, somebody speaking for women, somebody speaking for elder persons, somebody speaking for groups, not tribes, not sub-nations. There's nothing wrong with the tribes. But I think my brother, my speaker, whoever counseled him, I know he's not President Uhuru, I know he's not Honorable Raila, I know he's not, I really don't know who gave him this advice. Let him think. It is, in my view, very wrong in a country. There are more Christians, there are more Hindus, there are more Muslims. All of this combined together, that group from the forest cannot help you.
What if he has political ambitions, and for him to get into the political seat, he needs the acceptance of, quote unquote, the region? And perhaps that is why he chose that path.
But as I've just said, President Uhuru came in. He didn't pass through the forest. Kibaki didn't pass through the forest. You don't have to go through. In fact, going through the forest is anathema. It's a mistake. That's why I'm wondering who counseled him. You can see that the deputy president he went through Talai, but he realized that Talai business does not work. He was in church here and there, donating, praying, laying of hands. I am asking my brother, he's a good man, he can make a good president, but who bewitched him to start with this forest business? People wearing this, I used to see the Nyakinyua women group uniform. Now some people have turned it like the elders of one region. I really think that my brother, if he wants to be president, let him take the trodden path, a certain Jia that others have followed. Kibaki followed which route? Uhuru followed which route? Moi followed which route? Those are trodden routes. But this forest one, I have seen some people also coming through Gotramogi, and we have been going round. Follow the trodden path. And he can make a good president if you ask me.
Okay. I hear you. Muthuma, you may have a deeper understanding of this coronation exercise and perhaps the reason why he chose to take this path. Give me your thoughts, and even as you do, if you may explain to me where then this leaves Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Well, thank you, Linda. First of all, I'd like to believe that the president is still the Mount Kenya spokesman, given the fact that he's still the head of state, and you know that region voted for him overwhelmingly. In fact, they chose him as their heir. So, having said that, I'm still trying to get my hands around this whole coronation thing. But what I'm seeing is that I saw 4 governors from that particular region out of the 10 governors who represent Mount Kenya. So that just tells you immediately that exercise was done, which was actually really quite protected by the police. Just tells you that it was not an event where everybody was invited. So these other 6 governors are left, asking themselves, what were you people even doing? And towards the end of the day, it ended up from being a coronation to an endorsement by 4 governors from that particular region. Now, this to me, first of all, I've never seen a coronation of a spokesman. I've seen a coronation of a leader, the old guards, the mzee, the wazee wa kijiji. That one I've seen. But I've never seen this one where somebody is dubbed as spokesman, and that is why you find somebody like C.S. Munya is asking, so when he speaks, what is he speaking that the region wants? And when he speaks, does that mean everybody else should go silent? Now, you've also had the likes of Governor Anwa Igoro from Kirinyaga, just pouring cold water the whole exercise. So I think, Linda, on this one, it has made people more confused than most who are trying to understand that particular ritual, mainly the young people. I did talk yesterday to several young, people who are, deep core into Kikuyu traditions. Half of them did not understand what was happening. So that just tells you, I don't know whether it had the backing of the president, being that he is still the spokesman of, from that region, even though he is the head of state. And as such, he's supposed, to advance his tentacles to the entire country, really, because as a president, he's, he's above what I would call, the mountain politics or the tribal, politics. So that gives him, another view of things. I don't probably hope to see him in such a ritual, given the fact that he's somebody who's trying to unite the entire country. So I still am trying to figure out what advantage, is created here. Is the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable J. Muturi, is he looking to use this as a springboard towards 2022, where he can say that he wants to be the de facto leader of Mount Kenya? If that is the case, then I think he has a long way to go. And basically, very well, Linda, we have a historic precedent. The minute somebody appears like, you're being packaged as a project, immediately that probably becomes the end of you at that particular time. Doesn't mean that he cannot put him, he cannot put his ducks again to swim in a row at a particular date thereafter. But if he goes that way, then it would mean he's looking endorsement from people who've been elected. And as such, these people who endorsed him, you do not know what will happen in 2022. What if just maybe none of them comes back to the seat that they occupy currently? Where does that leave him? So I think it's still murky towards, the succession plan. And I don't really think that is probably what the president, and this one is not my own opinion. I don't think probably that's where the president would want to leave things. I think he just wants to, the president this year I'm talking about, the president just wants to leave things in such a way that the Mwana Inchi will make up their mind and probably vote to the person they feel is best to represent them and what the mountain at that particular time or the Mount Kenya region will be looking to advance. So I think I have not seen, and this is the class that matters. And when I say class, I'm talking about a group of people, mainly the youth. They need to have a buy-in on what happened yesterday at Mukoroyo or Anyagadaga. And if they don't have a buy-in, it's an exercise in futility.
You're saying almost something very similar to what Weda said. Weda said, look, that exercise, very few people will understand the significance, will understand the importance. But even as we have this conversation, Weda, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru said Uhuru remains the Mount Kenya kingpin. And of course, it was her and Mwangi Wairia, just Muranga governor, raising concern about this particular coronation. But as Justin Muturi was being coronated to be the spokesperson, we hosted Jubilee Vice Chair David Murathe here. And he said, look, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is not going to go anywhere. Could we listen into that? He was speaking on, I think it was a show hosted last week or a couple of weeks back, and he was talking about Uhuru Kenyatta not going anywhere, remaining at the helm of Jubilee.
But when you get to a stage where people feel like it's the era of the lame duck president, or that they want to position themselves with the incoming because the sitting president is on his way out, we tell them this president is not going anywhere. This president, even when he stops being the president of the Republic of Kenya, will continue being the party leader of the Jubilee Party.
Okay.
And those people who went to Jubilee because they believe in President Uhuru Kenyatta will stay in Jubilee under the leadership of President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Okay.
People will fight for seats and contest. And like I told you, as a party policy, we may even forge new coalition arrangements with new political parties.
Okay.
So, Jubilee Vice Chair David Murathe, they are speaking to Ken Mijungu. Weda, were you able to hear what Murathe said?
Yes, I had, yes.
Okay. So you have one hand, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, being coronated as the Speaker. On the other hand, you have a group of governors saying, we do not recognize this coronation. Our leader remains Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. You have the Jubilee Vice Chair, who is very close to the President, saying the President is not going to go anywhere. Even after his term is done, he will still be the leader of Jubilee. And I'm assuming by extension, the leader of Central Kenya. Where does that leave this whole process?
Linda, let's get this. Let's start from those governors. Please note they are cheapening my president. They are localizing him. The president is the spokesperson of the Republic of Kenya. That is when Kenya is speaking to other countries and other presidents and other nations are speaking to us. In Kenya, he is the person being spoken to. Central Kenya will speak to him. Luo Nyanza will speak to him. Kisii is the object of the speech. Let's not just think having spokesperson, you just have spokesperson. So, Honorable Muturi can be a spokesperson. Who will he be speaking to? President Uhuru. Honorable Raila may speak for us as Luos. To who? President Uhuru. So let's not cheapen or own him. Some people want to own him to look special or for their own political survival. Let those governors get it. They can also be those spokespersons. Who do they address? The president. We elected him to that position. Secondly, what my brother and friend Honorable Murathe is saying, it is good that the president may remain as party leader, but I tell you, once the presidency leaves your hands, you become lame duck. Very few people will pay attention to you unless you use fiat. The way you can even see ODM, you keep it together through fiat, but you can see sometimes Oparanya talks this way,
no, Weda,
Joe talks that way.
Weda.
Yes.
What is fiat?
Yes. Linda, fiat is dealing with them cacophoniously, flabbergasted, the way they dealt with Orengo and Otiende just recently, when they just gave a small speech in Parliament. You lead by fiat. It is no longer unity. So if President Uhuru retires and he does not retain a position like Prime Minister, if BBI does not come and he is out, even if he remained the head of Jubilee, it will not be as strong. In fact, the first people who will rebel are the very people who are now talking about being with him. People know the difference between party leadership and the presidency. You have seen even party leaders, big party leaders like Honorable Raila Odinga working with the president. You have seen Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka working with the president. They are not working with him because he's leader of Jubilee. They are working with him because he's head of state and head of government. The moment he leaves that, I would advise my president, if that was to be the case, as we think it would be, that you hand over the leadership of the party and the leadership of the country to the next leader. That should be Jubilee next leader. If the party was to reunite and reinvigorate, or a new party that combines all Kenyans. But hanging in with one leg out, two hands out, the head out, and only one leg inside, that has hardly worked anywhere in Africa. We have seen the leaders retaining party leadership, but eventually they relinquish quietly. So that advice, if I was asked, I would say, no, Your Excellency, we love you so much. After building the railway, the standard gauge railway, after building the Lamu port, after dealing with Corona well, and after doing all these things, just reconcile with your deputy, just make the handshake strong, combine these leaders to a united nation, and move on to the next level. Hanging in on small things will put you into petty politics and embarrassment and take away your legacy. Some of us will not accept that.
Muthuma, Justin Muturi trying to remain politically relevant quickly so I can have a short conversation on Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i.
Well, you know, like Weda said, I mean, today Weda is speaking a lot of, he's speaking some good gab. But you know, Linda, there are some things we cannot, you know, fail to address here. And probably at this point, you know, the president has done really well. You know, let's give him that. And I don't think at this point he needs court jesters, you know, to try and approve anything that he has done. He's really done well by himself. So I really don't think, I don't see the reason why everybody's, you know, somebody would push him to say, oh, he will remain, he will remain. No, the president has spoken, you know, about this time and time again. And I've just told you about leadership lethargy. It is there, it is real. Let the president, after finishing his work, go and rest. He needs it. He does not need people to be bickering him and throwing words at him, you know, just because he's the head of the party. One thing I would probably like to drive or to direct these people who keep talking about this is to look at somebody like the former German Chancellor. Angela Merkel, when it came time to leave even the party, the CDU, he left with grace after 18 years of leading 80 million Germans to prosperity. And when he was leaving an emotionally, you know, charged, you know, atmosphere, Germans came out of their balconies and clapped for Angela Merkel for 6 minutes. Why did they do that? All right? So, you know, that is what I'm talking about. Okay. It is when you leave something which you've dedicated your life and sacrifice for it. When the time comes, leave it with honor and grace, and we will clap and we will remember you. History will be written about you. And that's why I'm saying the end, Linda, is as important as the beginning. Even though we may concentrate on the journey, it is so far important how you live than how you start. So those two are as important. And the last thing I want to do is to see people just, you know, dissing a president who has done really well. Yes, there is still, you know, the willingness and probably a push for the president to try and reconcile, you know, with his deputy president. There is willingness for the president to try and bring everybody on board and bring a reconciliatory spirit as he leaves. That would actually be something of great significance as well. And it is something that should be encouraged by everybody. But to say that he still needs to hang on the reins of a party, yeah, he may probably, you know, be willing to say, I may help you, you know, as you try to look, you know, or to arrange for somebody else for a short period of time, but not to go and start another political journey. That one, like Weda has said, is not something that many people will support.
Okay, all right. So I need to wrap this conversation. There has been talk of impeaching Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i. I would seek a very short comment from both of you on whether or not you think this will pass through. But before we get there, let's listen in to some sentiments from different leaders on impeaching Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i.
Mtu ambaye anajificha nyuma ya bunduki, mtu ambaye anajificha nyuma ya kirauni, mtu ambaye anajificha nyuma ya polisi na tear gas, huyo sio mwanasiasa.
My friend Fred Matiang'i, do not misuse your powers.
Now we want to ask Matiang'i to come out clearly and tell Kenyans what really happened. Those policemen who beat or who caused violence in Wanjari and even in Juja, have they been arrested? Have they been prosecuted?
We, the members of parliament, are going to impeach Matiang'i. The sooner parliament opens up, because we are on recess, we are coming together, we are putting up signatures, and we have already talked to many of us, and they are for the idea.
Muthuma, 1 minute. Will it go through or not?
Well, if there's unity of purpose, I can bet you this time round, given what, it's ODM and Jubilee all crying foul, I think it may be a serious venture. And by the way, let's not take this thing, lightly. Linda, you know how far we've come, with all this police and militarization of the polling station, with all this, infightings when it's just around the corner or during by-elections or even elections. It's a history we want to forget. And that's why you have a huge cluster of BBI, the infightings. That is a history we want to forget. And so on this one, I do not know what may happen, but if this that unity of purpose with all the the members of parliament, once they come together and put this as a serious item, it may not augur well with the CS internal.
All right. Weda, I'll use you as a crystal ball tonight. You're the one who said the courts will put a stop to BBI, and indeed it did happen. So there's talk of impeaching Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Matiang'i is accused of heavy-handedness when dealing with opponents. Will it go through or not?
Allow me to use hard words tonight. That's nonsense. It is something which will never see the light of day. Let me tell you, those are people who want to weaken President Uhuru. One of the most hardworking ministers that has given President Uhuru a face is Matiang'i. So unless they want President Uhuru to be lame duck and to weak, and then they want to run all over, that cannot happen. Not only because of numbers, but because the president will not allow it, and once the president does not allow it, those MPs will be shaking. They will be shaking. They have never taken any stand on anything unless the president has told them to do so. But here, attacking Honorable Matiang'i on the basis of a few incidences, and to the extent they want to remove him, I think they are taking the joke too far. It is a sick joke to confuse wananchi. It will not happen. These are some of the MPs who will call the minister for roads to come and explain why there's a jam in Mombasa Road. Yet they know good work is going there. Those of us who live there are feeling good. Let them say they want to make something. Because I'm told when you put these big people to a corner, there are some transactions in the toilet. Maybe that's what they are generating. But removing Matiang'i, because I'm in Lowland and here what we do when we want to say something, no, we say no. That is out. I can tell you, take it to the lake and catch a fish.
Hey, okay. Ambrose Weda, political analyst, thank you so much for speaking to us on Checkpoint this evening, as well as Gabriel Muthuma as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time and for always making time for Checkpoint. We appreciate both of you. Thank you so much, our viewers, for watching Checkpoint. Have a good evening and a good week ahead. I'm LINDAH, OGUTU.